Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Live. And got everything here. Got my watch, got my Tolle quote, got my coffee. We're ready to go. We're pumped up and ready to go. And staying with what's topical in our everyday mind. And remember, everyday mind includes the collective everyday mind, which is on the media and the Trumps and all that stuff, and our personal everyday mind. And what I'm interested in and what you're interested in is connecting these two and seeing the whole field instead of just the exterior without including me, you see. So we want to include our own interior with the exterior. So we see one. Truth is one that includes two. That includes the interior and the exterior, not just the exterior by itself, you see. So you see the direction we're going here. Now, I just remembered this morning when I was a kid growing up in San Diego, near San Diego. My father was in the Navy at the war, and I remember my fascination with Africa and the undiscovered territory, the interior. Of course, at that time, in the 40s, if you looked at a map, all of Africa was still colonial territories, and there was a big empty space in the middle called Unexplored. And so all of the books you could get were about these explorers. David Livingstone, Mr. Livingstone, I presume. But these explorers would penetrate into the interior, you see. And kind of like a foreign planet even, animals that had never been seen before, the interior, the mystery, And I remember, and I put National Geographic maps on my wall. And I remember reading books, and I knew all the animals in Africa. The books I could get about Africa, and I remember learning all these animals, the only movie I really remember, I guess I was in 6th grade, and we had moved to New Jersey for 4 years, and I went to Rockefeller Center and saw King Solomon's Mines. I can still remember that movie. Because it was about an explorer who penetrates into the interior, So these childhood memories, childhood metaphors, stay with us our whole life. Because the child these are life metaphors that kind of like map out your whole life ahead of you. And so this curiosity about the interior has reincarnated itself in my love for the Greek myth of Theseus and the Minotaur. Because, see, the labyrinth is an unexplored interior. You don't go in there because you can't get out. And you can't get out of the labyrinth because there's no reference to anything in the objective world there, you see. Every turn is the same turn. Well, you turn, you realize, well, wait a minute, I was here before. And then you know you are lost. And there's no way out. That's terrifying. And so this, I remember when, boy, I'm getting off now. When I was working went to Cleveland to practice yoga, and I got a job at the Cleveland, this new state institution to rehabilitate the adult retarded that were being freed from the institutions. And on the grounds of this Cleveland, can't remember the name of it, was an abandoned insane asylum from the 19th century. or the 20th back. I don't know how old it was. An ancient thing, but it was shaped like a big square donut with a 4 stories high, with a courtyard in the middle, and it was, the windows were high. You couldn't see out the windows. And when you went in there, it was abandoned, like it had just been left, and there were still carts and instruments and stuff lying around, like everybody just left. And we used to wander through this thing. And the overwhelming feeling was that you were in a labyrinth and you didn't know, there was no external reference. Couldn't see any trees, town, people, nothing. This was an interior in which you roam for the rest of, and that's what's insane. In other words, it was so, the architecture made you feel insane. The architecture created a mental state of confusion, uncertainty, and despair. And so you became dependent upon the doctors in the institution because that was the only thing you could reference to. There was nothing outside your nothing, you see. So I just remember connect these dots to reinforce the idea of the labyrinth. But let's get to our topic here. So Tolle's quote for today, and for those of you just dropping in, I pull up a Eckhart Tolle quote from The Power of Now, and we use this as a kickoff, a kicker, into our talk about the truth of everyday mind. An essential part of awakening is the recognition of the unawakened you. The ego, as it thinks, speaks, and acts, as well as the recognition of the collectively conditioned mental processes that perpetuate the unawake state. So this is interesting. Okay, the essential part of awakening is the recognition of the unconscious you, the unawakened you. And then the unawakened you is the ego as it thinks, speaks, and acts. Actions, words. And it's also the recognition of the collectively conditioned mental processes that perpetuate the unawakened state. So it also means recognizing the collective that supports you and your unawakened state. Whoa. All right, now let's jump to Trump. And I'm sorry and I know I don't want to just bring this down to you're always dumping on Trump and why don't you dump on Hillary? And Obama did it, and getting all tangled up into that labyrinth, But I cannot help but use what's on the political screen to understand our own American neurosis. That's what I'm interested in. The American neurosis and the American unawakened state, which is your and my unawakened state. You see, we are America. America is us. So what we see on the screen is us. We just project it out there and blame that. Yeah, I take that, you take that, and that goes to war, you see. That's the unawakened state. The unawakened state is conflict. The unawakened state is separation between words and action. So anyway, let's look at the current situation that is unfolding as we speak of the quest of the journalism to find irrefutable evidence of deceit. That's basically what it is. Evidence that is irrefutable of the deceit of Trump and the collective that supports him. Now, the collective that supports Trump is the Republican Party, his White House, and his base. This is the collective that supports Trump. And you have to see, on a wider field, that there is this collective that supports Trump, and the journalistic field, which kind of like surrounds it like an island, you see, of we'll call it the media, but it's really the curiosity and the drive to investigate, to find the truth, that we call journalism. Or if you're watching a British mystery, the inspector detective, who wants to find the truth by collecting evidence. And he keeps collecting evidence in this winding labyrinth of clues until he gets enough where he suddenly has a truth satori. Aha, I know who did it. And then there's always the bringing in of the suspect. They sit in the interrogation room and they ask him questions, and he avoids, he deflects, he points, and then the detective pulls out the irrefutable evidence and slaps it on the table. Bam! All right. What do you say about this? And he gulps. You see. And then usually there'll be a breakdown and a sigh. Oh, okay. And then the confession. And then the Minotaur comes out. And then the crying. I had no choice. So anyway, going back to the unexplored interior, which as a child it was out there, but as a man it's in me. And then the myth of the labyrinth basically is the myth of shame. The king of Crete, forgot his name, his wife bore a son that was half bull and half man, and was called the Minotaur. And the king was ashamed, so he hid the son in a labyrinth. And sacrifices had to be made from Athens, who had lost a war, every year to feed this shame. So we have to sacrifice to feed our shame, because we don't want to see it. But it has to stay alive, so we feed it. We feed it our deceit. And so Theseus, who is the mythic, heroic soul, which is your soul, awareness, truth, says, I'm going to go in there and find the Minotaur. And so Ariadne, the king's daughter, sees his heroic soul and gives him a golden ball of thread, telling him to unwind it. So he goes in there, he sees the Minotaur, and seeing the Minotaur kills the Minotaur. Seeing the pain, as pain kills it, you make it conscious. You make the unconscious conscious. And then you come out by following the thread. Okay, so basically, it's making the unconscious conscious. It's making what you're hiding from yourself and others conscious. So this whole thing with Trump, it's reaching a point where the pressure to make the unconscious conscious is becoming overpowering. You get the field here. And it's also interesting that when you watch clips in the rearview mirror of the campaign, Trump's whole campaign was based on pointing to Hillary and saying, there is the deceitful one. Shame, shame. You ought to be ashamed. You are so deceitful, hiding your emails. You are so deceitful. Shame, shame, shame. Now, it's a fact that when we don't face our own Minotaur, it's there. You can't make it go away. But where does it go? Well, we just project it on somebody else and say, there it is. Attack, attack, attack. You see, there's the Minotaur. And so his whole campaign was built on Hillary being the Minotaur. In that way, and he did it so sincerely, with such outrage and conviction that you had to believe him. Yeah, she is the devil. She is the Minotaur. She's my Minotaur. Get her. She's the blame. And of course, before Hillary, it was Obama. Obama's the Minotaur. He's the cause of my pain. Get him. So I come to the conclusion that the Republican Party, I pulled this quote up yesterday. Goldwater. And I remember Goldwater. He got completely wiped out by LBJ. But Goldwater lives. There was a seed in Goldwater, a match. Started a little fire. LBJ almost blew it out, but the embers kept going. And now it's become the bonfire of the Republican Party. And the quote that I pulled up was, "Extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice." Extremism means any means to the end. That's extreme. You can do anything in defense of liberty. Now, what is liberty? It's a value. Liberty is a value. Now, if we are fighting Russia or Hitler or Japan, well, yes, then, and by the way, when we dropped the atomic bomb on Japan, basically that was any means to the end, any means to the defense of our liberty, even the atomic bomb. You see. So what happens then when the big when the big other enemies, the Hitlers and the Tojos and the Russians in the Cold War are all defeated? Where is the enemy now? Where is the Minotaur now? Aha! It's the government, and it's the liberals. So now this morphs into any means to the end in order to defend my liberty, my value, against the values of the liberals and the government. Reagan mapped it out. When the government calls to help, that's the worst thing, that's the worst thing that could happen, you see. So anybody who has pain, who feels the victim, who feels left out, discriminated against, deprived by all of these welfare people, you see, has a Minotaur. And I gotta get rid of the Minotaur because it hurts, it's pain. Where is it? There it is. There is the Minotaur. To arms, to arms. And we torch that, and we hang that person, or lynch him, or burn him, or drown him, or something. But we got to get rid of that Minotaur. And so now the victim is powerful. Now the victim feels free of the Minotaur. But he's not, because there has to be a new victim. There has to be a new Minotaur. So the Minotaur has to be reincarnated through time as a way we exercise our own inner Minotaur. So you can see here, I'll draw here was kind of like the field, the whole field. Now truth is the whole field. If you look at a soccer game, you got the left and the right team. And they're battling back and forth so that you end up with the one, right? But it's a game, so it keeps continuing. And we cheer and yell like, it's really kind of funny. But when we identify with the left or the right team on the soccer team, when our team wins, it's like, oh my God, peace on earth. We have absolute peace and freedom, and we're number one now forever. But immediately we start tuning, when's the next game? And our politics has become like that. politics has become a soccer game under the illusion that if we could just elect our president, our guy, our team, that will be the end of time. That will be the end of conflict. That will be the end of the Minotaur. We will have killed the Minotaur, and we are one, you see. But it just continues. So, right, and as soon as this stuff wears up about Trump, we're going to be talking about the next election. You see? Because it's being reincarnated. It's misplaced. It's the fallacy of the misplaced Minotaur. It's the fallacy of the misplaced Minotaur. I just made that up. But the whole field, when you're sitting in the audience, you see the whole field. Now, if you don't understand soccer, and you're sitting in the audience, and you look at the whole field, and you're curious, what are they doing? This is so interesting. But if you're a soccer fan, whoa, you are only seeing your team defeat the other team. And when there's a goal, it's, oh my God, it's like the whole earth. Goal! It's like the whole earth applauds. But then they keep on going, you see. It's almost like, that ends it, we won. But oh no, wait a minute, they're still playing. Well, that's curious. I thought we just won. So in other words, it's a game. That we suspend disbelief. You see, the soccer fan, the football fan, suspends disbelief that it's a game and pretends it's real. So we suspend disbelief and we pretend that the game of politics is real. But we know that the soccer team, the soccer game, is not real. But we don't know this is not real. We think this is real. We don't see it as a game. Now it used to be, and the politicians will complain, oh, it used to be we would fight like hell during the day for our policy, but then after we'd go to the bar and have a drink. Not now. It's serious now. It's not a game. Why isn't it a game? Because, and I talked about this, because my values have been introduced. So when Goldwater says, now Goldwater was talking about the defense of liberty against the Russians. This was during the Cold War. And it was the big game then was that the Russians were conspiring in espionage and secrets to get our secrets, and they were, and this was McCarthyism. All the communists are everywhere. They're under every coffee table. They're under the rug. If you went to a meeting that had, it was about socialism or workers, well then you were a communist by association. And you better tell me who you know that was at that meeting. We're going to root out this Minotaur. We're going to root out this evil, you see. Okay, well that was the communists, the Russians were, that was an external, you know. But after that went away, where's the Minotaur now, you see? So now the game becomes us against the government. The government is the Minotaur. The government is the cause of my pain. The government is taking me my liberty. You see how that jumped? Extremism in the forgot the damn thing. Anyway, extremism means any means to an end. That the end is absolute. It's not a game. So if the soccer team, if anybody believes that the soccer game were real, well, the players would just pull out a gun and shoot the other guy. That did it. Number one. That would be extreme. But that would be because the player forgot it was a game. So we have forgotten that this is a game. And now, extremism in the defense of liberty. Liberty is my freedom. And I'm only, and I defend my freedom because I think somebody's trying to take it away. Well, the Nazis are gone, the Japs are gone, the Russians are gone, so who's trying to take my freedom away? Ooh, the government's trying to take my freedom away. And the liberals. Now, I got something to work with, you see. So this has been the way our politics has morphed from a game into a value war. And you can't compromise with the evil side, because you can't compromise your values. You can't compromise your freedom. But you notice that it's my freedom. So who am I? Well, I'm a party. A political party, you see. This is a tribe. My tribe, my value system. And it's only my value system because it isn't your value system. But everybody has the same value. There is no my values and your values. So here's the thing. You see, liberty is a universal, is an American value. It's not a Republican value and not a Democratic value. You see where we get screwed up here. Freedom cannot be divided. Freedom is truth. Truth cannot be divided. Truth and freedom are one. Truth liberates you. Truth makes you free. But truth can't be divided into my truth against your truth. So the whole field now, if you can see the whole field of this political soccer match, this political game, where you have Trump yelling shame, shame, shame at the head of the Liberal Party, shame, 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 projecting his Minotaur there. The whole field revolution, the truth, would be seeing the play of it, you see, would be to see that the truth includes both teams. The truth is the field that includes both teams, not one team. Well, the truth is not one team against the other one. In soccer, you don't say that my team has the truth and the other team doesn't have the truth. You don't say that. But in the political soccer game, in the political field, we say, yes, my team has the truth and the other one is false news. We've got to get rid of it, because then truth will prevail. There will only be me on the field, only your values on the field. There will be no Minotaur, no contester, no competition, no contender for the truth. The one will be restored and peace will return to the earth. America will be restored, you see. You see how this mythology works here? You see how recognizing the collective conditioning, the collective conditioned mental processes that perpetuate the unawakened state. So we're trying to see through the metaphor of our political game the mental processes that perpetuate our pain. The mental processes that perpetuate our war against the Minotaur, the other. The enemy's out there, you see. Build a wall. Keep the Minotaur out. Build a wall. We'll be safe in there. Minotaur's out there. Build it higher, you see. So, what keeps the Minotaur alive? By projecting the Minotaur out there. What keeps our pain going? By projecting it out there on the other, and then getting rid of the other. But you can't get rid of the other because you keep creating a new other. A new screen comes up upon which you can project your pain, you see. And this is a truth that is in our everyday mind, in our families, in our everyday world, and it's also in our collective world, you see. And we're watching it unfold today. It's really very interesting. We're watching the inspector detective plop the evidence down on the table with Don Jr.'s emails. Boom. All right, well, what do you make of that? You see? So the evidence is going to keep coming. There's no end to it, you see. And the Minotaur projector will be painted into a corner out of which he cannot get. So instead of painting the whole floor, you see, instead of painting the whole floor with the Trump red, you're going to end up with just a little corner of Trump red. And then you might say, well, oh my God, the whole field will be blue now, and the Republicans' red will be just a little corner, you see. And we want to make the red go all the way across and push the blue. We want the blue to be pushed into a little bitty corner, you see. So there's, you know, this whole idea of truth is on our side, and that the defense of truth, the extremism in the defense of truth, is no vice. But that requires the division of truth into true and not true. And that's not truth. Truth is a revelation. Truth is not external. Truth is the awareness of my own interior as being on the same field as the exterior. Truth is subjective. Truth is a revelation. I see that I've been a hypocrite. I see that I have been deceitful. I see that I've been hiding my pain. I see that I have been a hypocrite. I see the separation between what I've said and what I've thought and what I've believed, in between what I've done, you see. I see that my words and my thinking, my mental process, has been separated from what I'm actually doing in the world. I see. I'm responsible for my pain. I did it. Even though my intentions were good, I still did it. So, and I think in my own evolution and discovery, the liberation comes when truth is one, and truth is one means that you and I are innocent. I had good intentions. I was doing the best I could. But at the same time, I am guilty. So I'm not innocent and not guilty, or guilty and not innocent. That divides truth. That kicks the ball down the road. See, now it's truth on one side and you're guilty. I'm truthful, you're guilty. No, no, no. I'm truthful, you're guilty. The soccer match continues. So what stops it? The revelation of truth is the revelation of the whole that includes the two. Now, what is the two that the revelation holds? That I am both innocent and guilty simultaneously. What? Not one or the other? No, you're both. We are all guilty. Just being human is being guilty. All of our good intentions have hurt people. Every good idea hurts somebody. I'm guilty. And yet at the same time, I had good intentions. I did the best I could. I'm innocent. So we're innocent/guilty. And so what happens when these are opposites? So what happens when you can hold two opposites together simultaneously? I'm innocent and guilty. that generates a whole, that generates a new way of being in the world, and it's called compassion. Compassion means that I and you are one in the unity of sorrow and joy. The joy of life and the sorrow of life. The innocence of life and the guilt of life are one in compassion or love. So holding the two opposites together is a Christ act, is a Christ creative action. Not being Jesus, no. The Christ act is a creative truth act of holding the opposites together when they are revealed through the urge to awaken. So this urge to awaken, the essential part of awakening is the urge of life towards unity, towards truth. Awakening is the evolution of unity out of the fragments, creating not old unities, not going back and picking up the unity that used to be, not restoring unity, not restoring America, not restoring truth. That's dead. Creating truth. Creating a new, greater truth, you see, which includes the red and the blue, the innocent as guilty, guilty as innocent. And so this cannot be done in a collective. A group can't do this. It's always you and I where this truth is born. So anyway, thank you for dropping in, and anyway, I hope we're as we move on the Dharma trail here, we're picking up the clues, we're following the M&Ms, we're following the clues to a revealed truth about who you and I are. So, thank you.